Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation on military veteran suicide prevention. My name is Cherie Tham. I'm the co-founder and vice president of programs and initiatives at America's Warrior Partnership. We are currently overseeing Operation Deep Dive, a community-based veteran suicide and non-natural cause of death prevention study taking place in 13 states across the country, to include Florida. It is led by our team at America's Warrior Partnership and researchers from the University of Alabama, with the generous support from the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. Today, our goal is to share with you the best practices and resources available to support prevention efforts around suicide and non-natural causes of death for those who have served in the military and live in Florida. I'm pleased to have Keith Manley, the program lead from the Panhandle Warrior Partnership, joining me for this conversation. The Panhandle Warrior Partnership is America's Warrior Partnership's Florida-based community affiliate, where Keith and his team facilitate community outreach to engage and build relationships with veterans and their families and caregivers. Keith, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, I grew up in a small community outside of Huntsville, Alabama. Immediately after high school, I joined the military and spent much of the next 24 years either on active duty or in the National Guard, deploying to Southeast Asia several times. Since 2001, I've been an explosive ordnance disposal technician, working operationally or in the capacity of project and program management, and finally director of business development before jumping over to the veteran nonprofit arena. My wife and I have grown 5 children, and they're all spread all over the country doing wonderful things. We moved to Florida around 7 years ago, and we spend most of our free time scuba diving, trail running, hiking, state national parks, and I like to cook. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Thank you, Cherie.
Great, Keith. Thank you. And I can't tell you how excited I am to share the great work that you and the Panhandle Warrior Partnership are doing in Florida. As we discuss Operation Deep Dive and local suicide prevention resources, I encourage our viewers to type out any questions in the comments section of this video. We'll answer as many as we can live, and any we can't get to today will be addressed directly in the comments. Florida is the 3rd largest state that is the home to veterans and active duty service members. Florida is supported through the Governor's Challenge for Suicide Prevention, which includes collaborations on state level, county VSO officers, DVOPs, Leavers, the VA Suicide Prevention Office, Florida Foundation, and multiple direct service providers who provide supportive services for veterans. How does the Panhandle Warrior Partnership fit into all the services already available in Northeast Florida in order to provide an upstream approach to veteran suicide and premature death?
Well, Cherie, the Panhandle Warrior Partnership is continuing its mission to improve the quality of life for veterans and their families and caregivers across Northwest Florida through a public health approach that addresses suicide and premature death among veterans. The model we use ensures that we're not waiting for a veteran who is in crisis to find us or necessary services, but through building a relationship with them ahead of the crisis so that we can leverage the community to mitigate the tragedy of taking their life prematurely. We do that by implementing our 4-step plan. Our connect, educate, advocate, and collaborate approach is dual focused. Connect to veterans where they are and build trusted relationships. We connect to the community and partners and key stakeholders. We educate veterans to their available resources, who they are and how to get in touch with those resources. And we also educate the community as to what veterans need and are seeking. Advocate for veterans' needs locally and beyond to fill gaps in services. We enhance community advocacy by providing data and collaborative voice. Collaborate with service partners, businesses, and leaders to best support the veterans population and to strengthen the community as a whole.
Great. That's wonderful, Keith. As our regular viewers know, every veteran community is unique and distinct, depending on the area of the country where it's located. Because of this, the challenges impacting a veteran in one state may vastly differ from another. Our goal with Operation Deep Dive is to understand these challenges and, more importantly, address how community leaders, such as yourself, can resolve them. With that goal in mind, Keith, could you tell us about how the study is progressing in Florida?
Yes, absolutely. Operation Deep Dive consists of two components. The first component focuses on gathering state death data to provide to the DoD, who then verifies who in fact was a former service member and who was not. Currently, we have verification of former service members' data for years 2014 through 2018. Our partners with the University of Alabama are analyzing that data to determine trends associated with demographics, but more importantly, service history and hotspots within our state where veterans have died by suicide or non-natural causes. This data will allow our partners across the state to target their messaging and services to vulnerable within the greater veteran population. Yeah. In addition, America's Warrior Partnership is looking for participants to interview to discuss the last 6 to 12 months of their loved ones' lives. The research team will use the insights gained from these analysis and interviews to determine how a veteran interacted with their local community before the death. Ultimately, these findings will help us create more effective and impactful support programs.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can Floridians get involved with these interviews and become a part of the larger team that's focusing on ending veteran suicide?
Well, first and foremost, if you have lost a veteran loved one to suicide or accidental overdose or drowning, asphyxiation, high-speed single driver vehicle accidents, or suicide by law enforcement within the last 24 months, I encourage you to consider participating in an interview with the research team. We want to understand their story and how they engaged with the community prior to their death. Your insights will give local organizations guidance on how to better direct their efforts and engage veterans and enhance their quality of life. If you're not eligible for an interview, there's much you can do to support Operation Deep Dive. Consider sharing information about Operation Deep Dive within your personal networks, alerting a close friend or a colleague about the study. It could provide them the opportunity to share their story and help reduce the likelihood of veterans dying by suicide in the future. In addition to Operation Deep Dive itself, veterans should also understand that there's a wide range of programs and services available to help them overcome a challenge. If you're facing an urgent crisis, you should always call the Veterans Crisis Line by dialing 1-800-273-8255 and pressing 1. You can also send a text message, 838-255. That's 838-255. For assistance with other issues, our team at Panhandle Warrior Partnership is ready to help. You can connect to us through our website at panhandlewarriorpartnership.org or give us a call at 850-945-VETS. That's VETS or 8387.
We'll put that in the chat, Keith. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. And yeah, that's great information because what this is doing and what you guys can champion is this is a way for individuals who are involved in awareness around suicide prevention to also be involved in an action to get upstream to that. And this is a great opportunity for them to connect through Operation Deep Dive, but then also a great opportunity for them to be known by the Panhandle Warrior Partnership so that they can meet other veterans and be together and volunteer and you know, experience recreational activities and stuff like that and continue on your services. So thank you, Keith. And for those of us who work with a community organization, because we've talked about the individual, what can we do to support local veteran suicide prevention? Is there a way we can leverage our organization's resources?
Oh, absolutely. One of our goals at the Panhandle Warrior Partnership is to elevate the great work that community organizers and veteran advocates are doing across Northwest Florida. There's a lot of great work going on out there. I'd love to speak with you and your organization on how we can collaborate and stay up to date with findings from Operation Deep Dive. I'd also encourage organizations to help amplify our call for interviews by sharing information about Operation Deep Dive. Even a brief post in an e-newsletter or social media update or a conversation during a company meeting could help someone searching for assistance find the right resource.
Yeah, and our viewers have probably heard me say this before if they've watched the other. It's the goal through partner agencies is, if I would love for everyone in the United States to know that this opportunity is available and that this is a resource for them to be able to be involved with. And every little bit helps, even if you believe you or your organization has a small following, there's likely a veteran family member or caregiver in your network who would benefit from this information. Keith, is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't already discussed?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that we face in educating veterans on the services and resources that are available to them, Florida's March Forward initiative under the state's Department of Veterans Affairs released a report in 2020 that found some former service members not even aware that they're veterans. And we see that. We see that a lot. That's why our top priority is proactively identifying, connecting, and engaging with veterans throughout the Panhandle. We can then have conversations to learn about, where they are in life and whether they're aware of the full range of benefits that they may qualify for. For example, the last thing we want is a veteran seeking educational opportunities to be unaware of how they can use the GI Bill benefits. There's so many opportunities out there for the GI Bill. Another challenge we have is to consider connecting with veterans who live in rural areas, and we have a lot of those in Florida. There are several rural communities throughout Northwest Florida where veterans may be unsure how to connect with available resources. We're working with fellow veteran serving professionals and community leaders who know these areas well to help us get connected with veterans in remote areas so that we can build and maintain a relationship with them to ensure that challenges are resolved before they become overwhelming. In addition, we connect. We can't be relying only on our partners to assist us with outreach and engaging with all the veterans in our communities. We need your help as well. We want to know who you are and mobilize a volunteer base within the Panhandle that amplifies the PWP's efforts.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today. Keith, we'll wrap up with a final call for interviews to participate in Operation Deep Dive. We're currently looking for interview participants who have lost a veteran or former service member to suicide or non-natural cause of death within the last 24 months. What is the goal of the interviews, you may ask? The goal of these interviews is to understand how a deceased veteran was engaged within their community and how the community can better support veterans in the future. How can you participate? You must be 18 years or older. You must have a relative, loved one, friend, or coworker who was a veteran and died by suicide or a non-natural cause of death within the last 24 months. The deceased former service member or veteran could have served as little as 1 day and received any type of discharge. Both you and the veteran must have lived in the same community prior to their death. Additionally, the community you and the veteran live must be in Florida or one of the other 12 states participating in Operation Deep Dive. Those additional 12 states are Alabama, Arizona, California, Georgia, Indiana, Minnesota, Nevada, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, and Texas. If you are eligible and would like to participate or know someone who may want to participate, please visit americaswarriorpartnership.org/deep-dive to contact our research team. You may have heard me say service member and veteran interchangeably. And you heard Keith talk earlier about one of the things that we see within our veteran community is that some veterans don't consider themselves to be veterans. So we use the term former service member and veteran interchangeably when we're talking about Operation Deep Dive, because this is research that we are looking at. If you served in the military, then you have a loved one who has died by suicide or the other non-natural causes, we would like to talk to you about the last year of your loved one's life. So I didn't want anybody to be confused between changing out veteran and former service member, but it's to Keith's earlier point about sometimes people don't consider themselves to be veterans when in fact they did serve in the military. Another thing I wanted to touch on, Keith talked a little bit about two parts of the study, and we are looking for interview participants. But I want to let Florida know that Florida is one of the first states who has provided the research team all of the death data related to those that have died in Florida over the last 4 years. What we have been able to do with that is we have been able to verify that with our partners at DoD to determine who in fact were former service members. And from that analysis that we are currently working on right now, we are looking to see what that looks like, where we have hot spots or where we have more prevalence of death by premature causes as suicide, non-natural causes. It also, Keith, reaches into the rural areas where we can really look and see what's going on in our rural communities and how all of our partners, how all of us can join together to get upstream around suicide prevention. So that's all the time we have for today. If we were not able to answer your questions or you have one at a later date, please contact our research team at americaswarriorpartnership.org/deep dive. Thank you all for joining our discussion, and stay tuned to the America's Warrior Partnership Facebook page for information on future Operation Deep Dive discussions and updates. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again, Keith.
Thank you.